For more, super trader Einar Tangen, senior fellow at the Taihe Institute. Good to see you, sir. Help us out here a little bit. Let's just leave earnings alone for a minute, because the real talk is about the future of where this company is going to be listed in. They were in Hong Kong before, then they were in New York. Now they're kind of, I guess, both, but there's talk that they might just go back to Hong Kong. Give us a little background around this.
Well, I mean, Alibaba chose New York, because they thought they could get the most amount of money for their listing. And also, they were concerned at the time about kind of this A-B structure that allows them to have one set of shares which are primarily controlling the corporation versus the B shares, which are, in essence, spreading any kind of growth and things like that, so profits. So at this juncture, with the changes at the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, they can go back there freely. But this is in a nutshell, Phil, exactly the kind of pressures, economic pressures that so many companies are under because of the geopolitical situation. So at this juncture, they're hedging their bets. You can expect other Chinese companies do exactly the same.
Yeah. So my sources tell me that Alibaba does want to stay in New York, but at this point, at the time it was, oh, let's have everyone know what this company is all about. But the whole world knows about Alibaba today, so I don't think PR-wise it's a plus or a negative if they were to actually just be listed, say, for example, in Hong Kong or in Shanghai, for example. Why not just go ahead and do that and eliminate this unnecessary controversy?
Well, I mean, they want access to as many markets as they can. Obviously, it helps their stock. It's not necessarily just about the PR, but they have big competitors. Amazon is literally 4 times their revenue. Also, they're suffering from some of the same issues in terms of how they're going to deal with this oncoming recession. So at this juncture, Alibaba wants to keep its options open. This is the smart play. The question is, does it impact their pricing on New York? And does it get to a point where they say, look, it's just not worth it. We're taking a beating in New York. We're doing well in Hong Kong. Let's just shift over. They have options, and that's what they should be doing, making sure that they have different channels depending on how the world works out, especially on this geopolitical rivalry.
So let's talk earnings very quickly. You mentioned it a little bit earlier, some of the geopolitical, I guess, pressures, but really we're talking about the recessionary pressures or the economic pressures that they're facing around the world. How is Alibaba dealing with it? And maybe more importantly, what should they do in the coming quarters to mitigate those risks?
Well, they've already done it. I mean, you saw that despite revenues being flat, they were able to reduce the amount of expenses that they had. This was eating into them, but it's not always really great. It's good from the company's vantage point in terms of surviving, but that means that people are being laid off, and that they're buying less of things. But Alibaba is a value producer. People turn to Alibaba because they want goods that are less expensive. It's a different kind of channel, so expect them to do well during this recessionary period as compared to others. Charlie Munger is hanging in there. He has not sold 1 share. And Seeking Alpha is very clearly saying that this is a stock to hold. So we're going to have to see. But at this juncture, there are necessity items that people need, and Alibaba can provide them.
What about other places? I mean, we often talk about New York, but why not have the company have perhaps a even bigger exposure, say, for example, in an exchange in Europe? Would be an option in the event that they decide to not be in New York?
Well, it's an option, but it doesn't have the same heft. I mean, the New York Stock Exchange is, by far the largest. It's not clear. Obviously London has been kind of tainted. No one knows exactly what's going to happen there. Things are moving around Europe. Brexit has hit Britain harder than most, and there's a real question about the supremacy of the London Exchange. So that's not the best option for them at this point. There'd be no reason to go there. Being listed in Hong Kong is not going to cut them off from the world market. People are free to contact their brokers and buy Alibaba directly off the Hong Kong exchange. And so it's not something that's pressing. This is not a life or death issue. The real issues are the economy and how Alibaba is able to use its large position to try to make earnings during bad times.
Very quickly, I want to ask you about the health of the consumer in China, because it's becoming a bigger and bigger part of the economy, obviously, this discretionary consumption. Give us a temperature check on where they stand sort of post lockdowns and things like that. Are they stronger than they were, say, 6 months ago, and perhaps more confident in spending money?
Well, I think right now people are looking at revenge spending, and I see that out at the restaurants. I've talked to a number of people in the hospitality industry, and they say revenues are way, way up. They're doing 10% better than they ever have before. The restaurants are full on a nightly basis, regardless if it's Monday, Sunday, or Friday night. Yesterday was a big day, Valentine's Day, the Chinese Valentine's Day, dating back 1,000 years, and the restaurants were absolutely jam-packed. So, yeah, things are coming back, but the question is, how long does it last in the face of growing concerns about the global economic health? There's still so many unknowns out there. So people in China tend to be savers. That is very good, especially during downtimes, because they can kind of ease their way through. But at this juncture, it's revenge spending. Expect a lot in hospitality, especially airlines and overseas travel, as things kind of move in the direction of lightening up on COVID-19. But then long term, you have to wait and see.
Well, we are going to think positive, and I look forward to either seeing you or you seeing us, and we will see you soon, Einar. Thank you as always.